Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with ReThink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 117. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at ReThink Coaching. And as always, I want to thank you for sharing your time with me. Time truly is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share and invest your time with me truly does mean a great deal. So thank you so much for being here. And today's an episode that you're not going to want to miss. I have the pleasure of having a newfound friend who I feel like I've known forever, and we have a lot in common, Debra Pearlman. I had the privilege of meeting at a coaching retreat not that long ago. And it's just one of those moments that I think we've all experienced in life where you meet somebody and you're like, how do I know you? I feel like I've known you forever. So I am so excited to have Deborah on here to share a little bit about who she is and what she does. And we share a love for NLP and mindset and thought work. And we've had the privilege of helping a lot of people have breakthroughs and to achieve their goals in ways that they wouldn't have been able to without the thought work. So Deborah, tell us, welcome number one, and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more than a 60-second pitch. Is that okay? All right, good.
Yep.
So for me, the way that I am now operating is as a performance coach. I am also an author. I'm a trainer. I've done organizational sales training. I've done a lot of mindset work inside of the business world. And I've used actually what you had mentioned when you did the intro so gracefully. Thank you for the intro, by the way. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And a lot of people kind of shy away from that and they don't understand it. They think it's some kind of hypnosis. And there are some components to that. But at the very bottom line, the very basic step is just really being aware of how you're thinking and what you're thinking, even before you start looking into the why of it. So I've incorporated that into my sales training. And probably, I'd say 3 decades ago, about 30 years ago, I went through my own personal journey, and the learning and the experiences and the growth, and not all of it was easy, has led me to where the two of us have the same thought process, that professional growth really needs to be supported by personal growth. The mindset needs to achieve certain goals, to want, to dream, to believe. And when we have limiting beliefs, and for your listeners who want to just know what the bottom line alert is, a yellow flag, if you ever say to yourself, I can't do that, I shouldn't do that, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, there's no way I can achieve it. Those are bottom line, very basic little flags that will allow you to, if you're aware and you're willing, allow you to start working on your mindset. So observation and being aware of your thoughts is the very first step. So, and I know we have a lot of space and time going forward. I wanted this to be a conversation between the two of us because I think that we are very similar in our thought patterns and how we want to help our clients, both the team leaders and the team members. So
Yeah. Entrepreneurs, just people, leaders, anybody who, and what I love about neuro-linguistic programming, mindset, thought work is it can apply to anybody, whether you're looking to just live your best life, or you're looking to build an organization, or you're a leader in an organization. When we don't give enough attention to the thoughts that are driving, because I think you and I both agree thoughts drive all results. When we don't give enough attention to that, we can end up at a different destination than we would like to be at. And it can build frustration because, you can't moor yourself to goal all the time without adding this other element in. And I don't know about you, Deborah, but I find a lot of times when I'm coaching a client, we'll work on the thought part and they're like, okay, what else do I need to do? And I'm like, that's it. Just go back to doing what you were doing. and you're going to have different results. You know, I love the whole idea of, you know, thought strategies moving in. So for you, like, what's most important when you're dealing with a client and their goals? Like, how do you figure out where we need to attack mindset, or where we need to really zone in on that? What's like the process you use to get there?
That's a great question. So no two clients are exactly alike. However, the limiting beliefs across a big population are similar. And so once you have a strategy with one client based on what their needs are, there's different things that you can do and different approaches that will fit that particular challenge. And it's so funny because I'll talk to a client and it's almost like you can see the wheels turning and they're trying really hard. Like, I want to get to the next level. I want to achieve the next thing. I want to grow my team. I want my team to be productive and consistent and generate that revenue, and that so that they're achieving their goals, not just the organizational goals. And I just don't know how to do it. And it's very common. You mentioned entrepreneurs and business owners, team leaders. They feel like it's their responsibility to make sure that everyone on their team is reaching the goals. And yet it's a fallacy when you realize that each person has their individual needs and their individual filters and their stories that they come to your team with. They're carrying their bag, right? They've got a sack over their shoulder. And everybody comes into the relationship with that sack, and everybody's got different things in it. And some people are dealing with childhood trauma. Some people are dealing with major success and then failure and then success and then failure. Everyone's got a different bag. And as a coach, we know that those individuals are best served when you unpack it. So we call it unpacking. That's a term in the coaching world. And it can be really scary and it can be really challenging for individuals to go through that and to start opening up that bag, because when you're in denial of it and you just want to keep moving forward, and I like to say you're on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You're doing things, you're moving, you're making your calls, you're scheduling your appointments, you're doing your presentations, you're getting sales, you're moving forward. And yet something is keeping you from getting to that next level. And you're on that hamster wheel and you're going and look how good I'm doing. I'm surviving. It's great. And yet that bag is still churning with you. You're still carrying it with you while you're on this hamster wheel. And one of the analogies that I love to use is, one of the things that great coaches do is we allow our clients the space to pause and breathe and stop and step out of the hamster wheel and onto the escalator. And I always use the escalator because you're still moving up and you're moving up consistently. However, you're moving up to the next level and you're moving up with grace and ease rather than with bringing all your baggage with you. So when we're working with clients, the work that we do, the mindset work, is allowing them to open up the bag in a safe space. Look at the processes and the programming and the decisions that they're making and why they're making those decisions and why they have certain reactions and what triggers them. And then we examine it. Sometimes we have to go a little bit deep. Sometimes it's just a very surface thing. And they're like, oh, I got it. No problem. Great. Let's move on to the next thing. I have watched and witnessed, as I'm sure, and I know you have, hundreds of individuals, both when we do the team training, when we're doing coaching. I have watched light bulbs go off, and I have seen people make great strides in their personal life and then watch that as it flows into their professional life.
Yes.
And you talked about how it's both, it's professional and personal, and it is intertwined. I have a ficus tree philosophy. I love a ficus tree. So I call it my ficus tree philosophy. And because imagine a ficus tree, and there's 3 strong trunks, and you've got your personal, you've got your professional, and then you've got spiritual. And I do believe that there's a component there. It doesn't matter what religion you are, whether you believe in God or not, there's some component in there that's self, right? And if a ficus tree's trunks are not all growing together, you're going to have a lopsided ficus tree. So the branches and the trunks need to be in alignment. And I believe that carries into the work that we do.
Yes.
And an individual stepping in and stepping up and wants to do great things, level up themselves, level up their team, be a more effective communicator, a more effective leader, generate different results, help other people achieve their goals. That with passion is like, okay, what do I have to do to better myself, expand me, stretch out of my comfort zone in a way that allows me to step back, pause, breathe, and look at things from a completely different view, become aware of my thoughts, my patterns, my habits. What are the ones that are getting in the way to be released? And what are the ones that are serving me? And then what needs to grow, what needs to sharpen? How do I expand? And then what does my team look like? What do they need? What are their goals?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, and I think for that took me a really long time to learn that, because I did not come from that. I did not come from that. As a child, we didn't talk about mindset. We didn't talk about future. We didn't talk about goals. We didn't talk about any of those things. So this was learned. Yeah.
It is. And it's interesting, especially talking to entrepreneurs, leaders. We have this thought of, I don't have to let my personal stuff because this is work. But the vehicle is you, the human being. It doesn't matter if you're living your life, at home, or if you're living your life as a leader. Along with that bag comes you. And so I know for a lot of the clients I work with, sometimes something personal will come up with and they want to hesitate to talk about it. And I believe that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you're struggling in this one area and we address it from a personal perspective, it 1000% is going to show up in the business side.
Yep.
And I know when a client is approaching me, or when a client I feel is ready to talk about mindset, is when they tell me, I'm stuck. I've had the same year after year after year, can't get to a breakthrough. That's when I know that all they're focused on is the business side of it. And they're not looking at, themselves. And I always joke around and say, you're not a little machine in a warehouse that we can go and do an upgrade to Debra Pearlman 2.0, and it upgrades and off it goes and running. You're a human being. And so we've got to take care of the vessel of you for you to have success in other areas. So question for you about, it is true, like the carrying the bag. And a lot of us, our bag is full. I will tell you, when I arrived into this, much like you, I was raised with a very spiritual world, Catholic, but you didn't talk about this stuff. That just wasn't anything you talked about. You kind of stuffed it down. And it's like when you hold a beach ball underwater, eventually that beach ball does what?
It goes.
Usually finds your.
It's really funny because people might be listening and not seeing that my hands just went up in the air. Sorry.
But that's the thing. And what I believe to be true is that the bigger items will show up out of that bag that need the most amount of work. And it's not, and tell me your beliefs on this. We live in a world of instant gratification, from Amazon Prime, getting something the next day, to texting, to DMing, instant access to people and things. Yet our work is not a one and done. We can't just talk about it once and it goes away, because those neural pathways run so deep in our brains and it's habitual. So how do you work that with a client to keep them constantly working on those pieces so that they're aware of it, so that they don't come and prescribe to we talked about it once, I'm all better. Don't you wish it was like that?
Yeah, what do they call that? The silver bullet. What's the one and done? It's so interesting. So back in the day before cell phones, it used to take approximately 30 days to change a habit. It was, you do something for 30 days consistently, and you probably are pretty solid with that new habit. Now, with the phone and the dopamine and the serotonin that we get addicted to, because every time our phone pings, it's like, oh, I got to look at it, right? It's that feel good, instantaneous thing. It takes much longer to develop habits. And
Yeah.
I think part of it is the neural pathways are much different now than they were a few years ago. So 15, 20 years ago, I'm aging myself. So anyway, so when I'm talking with a client, and sometimes I think what happens is, to your point, they almost get tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's usually because they are refusing unconsciously to really break into the next level of their pattern and their habit. There's fear.
Yeah.
Denial is a beautiful thing. Denial means you don't have to do anything about it. So if it's okay to promote my book for a second.
1000%. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a book called OOMPH, OOMPH. And it's the acronym for the very first thing is to observe, just to observe what's going on. And this is what I walk my clients through. Just be aware of what's happening. No judgment. My clients go automatically to I should have, I could have, I didn't, why didn't I whatever those, just, it's not about that. It's about really just being honest with yourself and just looking at it from an objective standpoint with no judgment and just watching. I reacted in this situation this way, and just be curious about, I wonder what triggered that. And that's it. The next O is ownership. The results that we each have in our lives, we created. We've created our circumstances, good, bad, and different. And some things, yes, some things have happened to us in our life that we can't control, not our choice, not our option. But for the most part, things that we have in our life, the relationships, the friendships, the business, the clients, those are all things that we've created for ourselves. So the ownership has to come into play. What part of this situation am I responsible for? What did I do to create this? And it's not about woulda, coulda, shoulda, and I'm going to be punished or pointing fingers or playing the victim. Victim, pity party, stop. Stop. Not an option. It's about observing, taking ownership, and then realizing where you are and where you want to go. And then every moment we have that choice of saying, okay, I'm going to make some changes starting right now in this minute, not waiting until after the holidays, not waiting until next week. Right now, today, in the next conversation that I have, the next thing that I do, the next task, the next email, the next phone call, the next text, I am going to be shifting and pivoting. And this is how I want my results to look going forward. And then as coaches, we empower, we inspire our clients to have the strength and the courage to do that, knowing that if you make a mistake, you fall back, it's okay. Try again, right? And the M is mastery. I'll stop with the M. M is mastery, and it's not mastery of a skill. It's mastery of your mind. It's having the ability to sit back and say, how can I react differently? What can I change about what I'm doing, how I'm thinking, my patterns, my habits, what needs to change so that the results that I achieve are really what I want.
That's key. I mean, that's key. We are responsible for where we are. If you don't like where you are, you're not a tree, move, right? Do something different. But I do think it's important, that when you make a decision to live a different life, that you're willing to unpack the stuff. Because some of the stuff that's in the bag that you're carrying around was put in there by somebody else.
100%.
And I always think for a comparison, when we're born, we're like a brand new cell phone. And we arrive with just the apps we need to survive, right? Your Apple phone, which is what I use, arrives with just the right apps that I need to function. Yep. And then I download an app and I download another app. And before long, I got hundreds of apps on there, and it's affecting the efficiency and how I operate and what I do. And it's no different than when we're birthed to 7, that people are dropping apps into your bag. Doubt, fears, their limiting belief becomes your limiting belief. And I love my parents. They did an amazing job, right? They didn't have a book on how to handle me, which is a whole novel in itself. But you trust your relatives, your parents, your babysitters, your teachers, your friends, and you take that on. So part of our unpacking is you may have unconsciously taken on somebody else's stuff, and it's in your bag. It's in your bag, and we got to get it out. And so I love that ownership part, right? It's like, you got to own it. At some point, you have to say, if I want this to be different, I have to be different. And part of the unpacking is letting go of somebody else's limiting belief that has been dropped.
That's right. You're choosing whether to believe it or not. Do I really believe that? You don't have to believe everybody else's beliefs.
No.
Yeah.
What we do on a default, right? What is it? 92% of what we do is just conditioned habitual behavior. 92%.
Amazing.
And like what I always laugh is when somebody was teaching me this, they're like, you notice I didn't say 92% of what we do is functional, healthy, conditioned habitual behavior. It's just conditioned habitual. And what I love about the work that you do and the work that I get to do is we get to shine the light on the habits or just the things that we do out of just our natural way of doing things because of the stuff
Yep.
that's been put in our bag. And it's fun. It's hard, but it's fun once you see that and you can start to unpack it. You said something really important that I want to spend a minute on is a lot of times we'll shine the light and we'll do the work and the client becomes resistant to it.
Yeah.
And I have a belief around why we resist. So for you, what is it usually a signal of when you see a client, a human being, resisting an activity that you know is going to help them evolve to that next level? What do you think it is that causes resistance?
Most cases, there's self-confidence issues, or there's that whole belief that I know this is so counterintuitive, and people laugh sometimes when you say some people have a fear of success. And I do believe, and I've seen it, I've witnessed it, where individuals are they hold on and they want to control everything. And if it gets too much and too big and too successful, there's that fear of, I can't control it anymore.
Yep.
And it's not mine anymore. And that is one of the biggest resistors that I see in my clients when we start working together.
You know, part of it too is that portion of our brain that's still the primitive part of our brain. I always say it's funny, there's a part of your brain that is still from the days when if you went out to get food, you could get killed, right? It was that fear.
The saber-tooth tiger was going to chase you.
Yeah, going to chase you. And so your
Yep.
brain is thinking that this change or this new way is equally as dangerous because it feels as uncomfortable as going out and getting chased by the saber-tooth tiger. So it will do a really good job of convincing you to not do it. And I think that's where the majority of our resistance comes from. It's not from knowing what to do. It's battling that your sweet little brain is trying to protect you from failing or trying to protect you from taking action that takes you out of the dysfunction into function, which feels very unnatural.
And it's scary for a lot of people.
Oh, it's there. And I always laugh. And for me, I like when that creeps up because people ask me all the time, I'm like, yes, I've done this work for 1,000,000 years and I still have stuff. And fear is probably one of the biggest ones that creates resistance for me. And I have to just stop and laugh and say, okay, fear loop, you're so cute. I don't need you today because I'm not going to.
I love that.
The tiger's not going to chase me for doing something different. So
Yeah.
I love that. And I think resistance for the listeners is really important to acknowledge because when you're resisting something, it really just means it's really important to the evolution of your soul. I think Stephen Pressfield has that statement that he makes that the more important something is to the evolution of your soul, the greater you're going to resist it.
Yeah.
And I find that just fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating and it's true. To take this to, okay, so let's turn this into how it affects you in your business.
Yeah.
So when you're resisting, you go into fight, flight, or freeze. Those are the three, right? So the saber-tooth tiger's coming after you. You're either going to fight it, you're going to run like heck, or you're just going to freeze and it's going to eat you anyway. Those are your choices. That's what your head is telling you. And you alluded to what?
They're all lovely choices.
Those are, I think no matter what, something's not right. And it's really funny because it's human evolution and it's genetic. It's in our DNA. And it's from thousands of years ago, and it's still in our DNA. And so a lot of people don't believe it, or it sounds like it. Oh, that couldn't possibly be what's happening to me. So to move it into more current times, and like you said, you have your version of your fear and how it shows up in your head. I have a little gremlin, and I know exactly what he looks like. And he's in my head, and he's like, "No, you don't want to do that. That's going to cause problems. Don't do that. Something bad's going to happen." And I have him. I could tell you exactly what he looks like. Yeah. So I have an exercise with my clients, and I have them name the fear. I have them name it. What does it look like? What's the thing that you really dislike the most? I usually attribute it to food. So I'm going to just do this really quickly. Mine was initially cotton candy. I don't know why, but when I did this exercise, that just it's sweet, it's sticky. You always have to wash your hands after. It's
Yeah.
messy. It gets all over your face. It's disgusting. So every time I would have a thought that I knew was not serving me, I was guided. My mentor guided me and said, "Think of cotton candy and give it a name and say, 'Thank you, cotton candy. I appreciate that you care about me, and I got this.'" So you're giving compassion to that part of you that's trying to protect you, and yet you're still able to move forward and acknowledge that there is a part of you that, look, just because you're mastery of your mind and looking at your reactions, it doesn't mean that life is going to automatically go, oh, everything is perfect and wonderful and easy now.
Right.
Things are still going to happen. Life is still going to happen. Life happens, right? It happens. So what mastery of the mind is, and what you and I are now, having and sharing about with this conversation, is we still have control over our thoughts and our habits and our patterns. And you and I have the the blessing and the privilege of sharing the tools and teaching these skills and strategies to individuals so that they get it and they shift. And I know you have. I have seen people do amazing things in their lives once we get to the point where they're like, it's like all of a sudden like a window opens up and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, the fresh air is coming in, and it's like their whole life shifts. So it's not just their personal life, like you mentioned, their business grows. I've had clients increase their business in sales. One person increased her sales by over 35% in 1 year because of one limiting belief that just kept getting in her way year after year after year. We worked on it and we removed it to the point where she could observe it as if she was watching it on a movie screen. And she was like, oh, that doesn't serve me anymore. And this is the language that we teach. It doesn't serve me anymore. Let's move into something that does. And you just watch these clients blossom and shift and ripple out. So it really is a gift and a blessing and a privilege to work with the clients that we have.
It really is. And I think the message that I want to give, and I want people to know how to get a hold of you after this, is if you've been in coaching before, or you're working with someone who's strictly focused on numbers, accountability, do more, do more, do more, and you're stuck or frustrated, really entertain the thought of maybe plussing that relationship with a mindset thought coach, or using a coach that has the skill set to do both. It really is the game changer. For me, it happened in 2009. I took a position and I was failing, and I haven't failed in a long time, and failing miserably, to the point where I was like, I either need to resign or they're going to fire me. And I heard about a program that was very based in NLP, and I went and I took it. That one thing, that one decision, I had a business coach that was very numbers focused. It didn't matter. I was never going to get to that number because I had a block. And that moment in that program changed everything. So the thing I want us to end on is, if you are feeling stuck or frustrated and you're looking for a different way, and I'm not going to say it's better, we all coach differently.
Yep.
But I do believe the secret sauce in working with someone is somebody who has your skill set that can address the business side and the thought side, because that will unlock. It's like there's a road that your thoughts take, right? It goes down a neural pathway. And it's like you and I walk in with a barricade detour, and we're creating a detour for that old thought to start carving a new neural pathway. So when you have it, you can choose, you can left assign yourself if you want to go back down that old path, but you're going to start working on a new pathway. So Deborah, I love spending time with you. I could be with you all afternoon. And so if somebody does want to get a hold of you to talk about maybe working with you or have questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The absolute best way is to go to the website for the book. It's just www.oomph, O-O-M-P-H factor, F-A-C-T-O-R.com. Or you can just look up Debra Pearlman, Oomph, O-O-M-P-H, and a bunch of stuff will come up on Google and you'll be able to find me. And I just want to mention one other thing. You are absolutely 100% a brother from another mother. So yes.
I know, it was instant. I wish people could have seen the moment that it was like eyes locked and it was like, that's it. So yeah, it's awesome. I appreciate you as a human being, number one. And number two, your talent that you bring to people. If anybody has a question about this or anything else, I always say that if you're stuck, and if this podcast resonated with you and you've got a question, you know how to get a hold of Deb, you know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Don't stay stuck, but don't stay stuck. 2020.
No, Tony, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Thank you for having me on as a guest. I appreciate it. And I love the work that we both get to do. And
Yes.
I love being in your presence. You've got great energy. So your clients are very blessed and very fortunate to have you as a coach too.
Thanks.
So.
Thanks. And we're going to tell to stay tuned. There might be a joint project coming up. So
Yay!
just stay
Oh, I
tuned.
can't wait to hear all about it.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. And we will see you in a week. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.